by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Larry Matson. Welcome to another Jim Mora Show. Well, the preseason is over. From now on, every game counts, and we're only 16 weeks away from the playoffs. Jim Mora will be along with us shortly to talk about the last preseason game of the year against Kansas City. We'll hear some comments from the players about Camp Mora, and we'll discuss recent trades and player movements. And, of course, we'll talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Game 1 of the 1986 regular season. Plus, we'll hear some questions from the fans, so don't go away. We'll be back with that and a lot more. Preseason is over, and every team in the NFC West finished 2-2. I'm really not sure what that means, if anything. So let's take a quick look at the Kansas City game highlights. Frank Wadlett opened the scoring opportunities with an interception off a Todd Blackledge deflected pass. Wadlett made a diving catch just off the turf, but the Saints failed to capitalize on this turnover. A few plays later, Dave Wilson's pass to Eric Martin was picked off by Deron Cherry to end the Saints scoring threat. Nick Lowry put the game's first points on the board with a field goal of 42 yards, and the Chiefs led 3-0. Dave Wilson, the Saints starter in his final preseason game, found Eugene Goodlow for 24 yards, keeping a late second quarter drive alive. Morton Anderson kicked home the tying points with a 30-yard field goal to make it 3-3 at the half. Morton Anderson another field goal, making it 6-3 in the third quarter. Dave Waymer picked off this Bill Kenny pass and returned it 32 yards to the 41. But again, the Saints failed to make the best of an opportunity. A sack forced them out of scoring range. Bill Kenny caught a Saints defense looking for anything but a long pass and found Stephon Page for 42 yards and an apparent score. But the replay official ruled Page down 2 feet short. On the next play, Jeff Smith plunged over from the 1, and KC led 10-6. Bobby Hebert quarterbacked the second half for the Saints, and look at this hit in the fourth quarter. Looked like whiplash as he separated from the ball. Kansas City recovered with 4.5 minutes to go. But watch closely as the Saints pull this one out. Here's the game winner. Seconds ticking away. Bobby Hebert, still groggy from the vicious hit he had taken earlier, throws one deep. Eric Martin grabs it in the end zone for the winning score, capping an 86-yard drive in 9 plays with a 41-yard touchdown catch. The play was called Cade 60 Rocket.
It's 3 receivers where, I'm in the middle, I run down. Hopefully I can catch the ball. If not, I can tip it to one of the other guys, and hopefully we come up with the ball.
This is something we may be seeing in 1986. Look back at the waning moments of the first half. Wilson at quarterback, trying to hit Martin in the end zone. So close, but not quite close enough. Then in the third quarter, a 3rd and 5. Hebert to Martin for 19 yards and a first down. The Saints may have found the big play man in receiver, Eric Martin, 2 years out of LSU, number 84.
Eric Martin does have that something special that the big play men have, and along with Bobby Hebert, that might be a very famous twosome by the end of the season.
I hope so. I hope they're making a lot of big plays between the two of them.
Is it unusual for a young guy like a Martin, a second-year guy, to be a big play guy, or is that something of an impact player? He wasn't that coming out of college, but he seems to be that now.
Well, he's made some big plays for us in the preseason, and he's made some big plays for us in camp, and I hope that it continues through the regular season. But if a guy's capable of making big plays, he can make them any time in his career.
They're both from Louisiana, and you're going to start an all-Louisiana backfield with Bobby Hebert, Dalton Hilliard, and Buford Jordan in the game.
Right. Well, they're the guys that have earned the starting spots, regardless of their where they're from, what state they're from. They're the best we got right now, and I think they'll all do a good job for us.
It's the first time in Saints history to have an all-Louisiana backfield, so that's something special for the hometown fans.
Well, that's
anyway.
great, and I hope that they play special for the hometown people, too.
And when we return, we'll be talking about the recently completed training camp. Mora was indeed a tough camp, the kind of camp that Bruce Clark really enjoyed, the kind that Ricky Jackson says he expected to have since turning pro. But what about the residual effects of a tough camp? Listen to some of the players commenting after the Kansas City game.
That could be true, but, you know, the guys who came in pretty good shape, I think, you know, we're still a little leg weary, but I think Coach Mora will make sure that we have our legs back under us when we play the Falcons.
Well, I think we're starting to get our legs back now. You know, preseason you have to work hard, and most of the guys out the other team didn't have their legs either, so it was a trade-off.
Well, I'm trying to get my legs up under me. I've been doing a whole lot of running, and hopefully other guys can get their legs up under them, and hopefully we have a very good season.
Yes, Coach Moore indicated to us that he'll always have a training camp, a tough training camp like that, and that we're supposed to play with rubbery legs in the preseason. But, you know, he tapered down, you know, toward the last week, and when you're supposed to taper down, you know, maybe Coach Phillips, you know, tapered too early. You know, I don't know what it takes to be a winner, you know, but whatever, I have confidence in him, and, you know, no matter how it may look in the preseason, you know, he says wait till the regular season's over before you judge us. And, you know, and I'm with him, and I'm with him in his advice and his direction.
It was a tough camp, and some of the fans may feel that a camp like that makes a team tired as the season begins. Do you believe in that? Was it a tough camp like that?
Supposed to be tired.
You get them ready, though, for the regular season by giving them an easier week before you start? Or?
Well, you taper down. I mean, you start out training camp and you work twice a day, two and a half hours per practice, and anybody's going to be tired doing that. But every other team is doing the same thing, and
it makes the games a little easier if you work that hard in training camp.
Well, sure, and it prepares you for the regular season. That's what a training camp is for. It's not to prepare you for the preseason. It's to prepare you for the regular season. And I think our players will be where they ought to be when we open the season this week against Atlanta.
Let's talk about some of the movements made this week by the ball club. You traded Wayne Wilson to Minnesota. You pick up a wide receiver in Mike Jones, who caught 46 balls for the Vikings last year.
Yeah, we think it was a good trade for the Saints. They needed a running back, Minnesota did, and they like one that can catch the ball and be involved in their passing game, which Wayne can do, and we needed a wide receiver. We had signed a young fullback by the name of John Williams that we felt like could come in and play fullback for us and do a good job. So we think we got a good fullback and we got a wide receiver to help that group, and we had to let Wayne go. Wayne has been a very productive player for the Saints, but we think it was a good move for the football team.
You mentioned John Williams, the fullback. You also added, re-signed Chuck Comiskey, the big offensive lineman, 300-pounder.
Right. Chuck, we had let go when we went down to 50, but always in the back of our mind, we knew Chuck was there. We were hoping he wouldn't get picked up by another team. We cut him when we had to get down, and yet he was still being considered by us. When we got to our final roster, he wasn't someone that we had forgotten about that said, well, he's not going to be on the team because we've cut him. He was one that we let go, but we were always thinking, well, he may be the best guy we've got to be our third guard, and we may bring him back, which is what we did.
You're going into the regular season with two quarterbacks. What's the feeling there? Do you feel comfortable with that right now?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with it. It's a little scary. I've never been in this situation before. About half the teams last year in the National Football League had two quarterbacks on their roster. The other half had three. If we get through, you know, with these two guys staying healthy, we're going to be okay. If not, we're going to have to bring somebody in. But it's a little scary, like I say, but we've made the decision to go with two, and we're going to do it until we feel like we can't do it anymore.
It's not the ideal situation, but at the same time, you're able to keep an extra linebacker or a lineman or a defensive back or wherever.
Right. And this is why we did it. We had some football players at some other positions that we weren't quite ready to give up on yet, that we think have a chance to help our football team down the road. So we decided to carry an extra person there and only go with two quarterbacks.
All right, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll do that when we return right after this.
A new direction.
We kept the defense off balance, mixed up both the pass and the run, and that's the type of offense we're going to be.
Two-time Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year, Larry Matson, and head coach Jim Mora.
You heard it first here, but doggone it, don't tell the Falcons.
At a new time, Monday nights at 7:30 on WGNO-26. Sports television, New Orleans.
The Falcons. Players come and go, but the rivalry lives on.
You know, it happened, you know, it's something that started a long time before we got here, and we kind of just carried the tradition on.
Yes, it is. You can believe it. I think probably the fans make it a little more intense than the players do, because, but the guys, they get caught up in all the fans' emotions, and they turn it on too.
the people, the fans, the media, and everything kind of build it up that way. I think it was maybe more so before we came here and before Bum was here. And then, of course, you know, Atlanta, and then it's still just the way the people handle it. You've got to, you know, take it that way. It's a little bit extra.
Even the newest Saints, those from the USFL, have gotten a little Falcon fever.
I understand it's a pretty big rivalry, and you know, the bigger the game and the more you're into it and all, and I'm just kind of looking forward to a game like that, a big opener for me, and it'll be my first NFL regular season game, and just looking forward to it.
And the veterans who remember the past look toward the game as a game of vindication, a game to begin a new era, a game to put memories of losing seasons aside, and an opportunity to get 1986 off to a good start.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, especially when they beat us twice last year. It's very special to me. And, you know, whether or not, you know, their record indicates the quality of their team last year, you can see they came down here and really beat us after we beat Frisco and we was on a cloud, you know. They kind of like bust our pink cloud and bring us back to earth twice. So therefore, you know, I carry grudges over to the next year. I think we really have to get on Atlanta.
I've got some questions prepared for Coach Mora, but I've got to digress from that a moment, Coach. This one you've prepared for a long time, many years. It's your first NFL head coaching game. Regardless of the outcome, it's one you're going to always remember, your first one. Tell us what that experience you think is going to be like, the first big game.
If we win, it'll be great. I'll remember it a long time. Well, I'm excited about it, and yet it's a game. It's one of 16 games that we're preparing for this year. It's really no more important than the next game's going to be, although it's the most important game right now because it's the game we're playing. But I'll probably be a lot more excited about it right before game time than I am right now. But I've noticed the butterflies a little bit during the week and a little pressure building, and yet I'm trying to stay calm.
It's something you've looked forward to for a long time.
Oh, sure. It's going to be a great thrill.
They've got Gerald Riggs back now. They've got William Andrews. And by the way, how is he? Is he able to play?
Well, Andrews has played in the preseason games. He hasn't looked like the William Andrews of old. And they're playing him some at running back. And against the Redskins, they played him as their H-back, as their second tight end that does a lot of motion and catches passes and all. But he's getting better every week. And you know, I think he'll get back to his old form before too long. And, of course, Riggs has been in camp all week. And so he'll see some action against us in the game, too.
They got David Archer at quarterback. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Archer has looked good in the preseason. He's throwing the ball well. Got a good crop of receivers. And the thing that's impressive about Archer is his ability to scramble and escape the rush. He was a leading rusher as a quarterback in the NFL last year, and he causes some problems in that area also.
Saints fans remember Cliff Austin, maybe not because he played for the Saints, which he has in the past, but because of last year he ran a 94-yard kickoff back for a touchdown.
Yeah, Austin's their starting tailback. They play a one-back set on offense, and he's been their main guy in the preseason. Now with Riggs back, I don't know if he'll continue to be, but he's been impressive on film.
Defensively, do you see anything there you might be able to exploit? I know you're not going to give away the secrets here, but...
you know, there's some areas that we think we can, where we can move the ball and do some things. They've got a new defensive system, new defensive staff entirely, some new young players led by Tony Casillas, you know, the #1 pick from the nose tackle from Oklahoma. And they're learning a new system, but they're very aggressive. They've got some talent over there, but hopefully there are some things that we can, where we can move the ball against them.
They got a lot of Oklahoma players, in fact.
Yeah, they do.
They really do.
Rick Bryan.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look not only at the game, but we're going to look at the fans as well, right after this. They'll be sporting those new uniforms when they host Atlanta in the Dome, but you may want to take notice of the fans sitting around you. Mary Foster says the Saints aren't the only ones dressing up for the big game.
Saints fans do to cheer on the home team. I guess you could say they wear their loyalty right there on their cuffs.
Did I say Saints fans wear their feelings on their cuffs? Well, they also wear them a lot of other places as well. While the team is busy suiting up and getting their game faces on, a lot of other folks are doing exactly the same. If you don't believe it, just look around the Superdome any Sunday. You'll see slogans, mottos, hopes clearly spelled out. And, of course, plenty of the team colors.
Black and gold, that's the team's colors.
What are you wearing?
Be part of the team, get in the spirit of the game. I'm one of the fans, you know.
How long have you been doing this?
Since day one, when they opened at Tulane Stadium. Rams game, when they made that long touchdown. Dempsey's kick, his field goal. I've seen a lot of it.
Just a Saints fan for years. Just always dressed like this.
Does it help you identify or cheer, or what does it do?
It just gets me in the spirit of the Saints.
Because New Orleans is Saints country. That's the way we feel. We love the Saints. We back them 100%.
Well, I've been doing it now, I say 10 years in the Dome and about 5 or 6 in Tulane Stadium. File them out of town, in town. Just a hobby. And it's nice. I like the Saints, even though we had a winning season yet, but it still show your team spirit.
Saints fans are different. They've followed the team through good times and bad. They've followed it in town and out. And, of course, they want to make sure everyone knows where their loyalties lie.
Well, you know, you wear your colors like we go to Atlanta. Well, the Atlanta fans, they come in and wear their colors. You know, to show you, just like we go, okay, like we go to Atlanta, we dress. You can tell the Saints fan from the Atlanta fans by our colors. In other words, we almost resemble the team, in other words.
Although some of the team paraphernalia sported by the fans is standard, off-the-rack issue, there are those who prefer the custom designer look. Take Moses, for example. When he leads the faithful to the promised land of the playoffs, it'll be in an outfit he designed. Many of the followers will also be in works of art, custom designed and proudly displayed.
Okay, it was done in Homer, Louisiana by a young lady as the new emblem of the Saints, with the Louisiana State emblem in the background and the helmet with the fleur-de-lis.
Why would you go to all the expense and trouble and then wear it?
I guess you call me a die-hard Saint.
Well, my mom and my sisters thought of the idea. And they went ahead and they got the shirts made in West Wego. Got them airbrushed, showed the guy what they wanted, and this is what he came up with.
Styles may come and styles may go, but for these fans, one thing will never change. Game day fashions are always going to be black and gold. Maybe it's because getting into the duds helps you get into the spirit. Come the big play, one thing you can count on, though, is those who dress up know how to whoop it.
They really get into it, Coach.
Boy, they do. That's great. I love it.
Mora. You saw that one. Well, we've got some questions for you, Coach, from those wild and crazy fans. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's fire away.
Bring them on.
Coach Mora, I've heard it said more than once that offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. Would you care to comment on that statement? And also, I'd like you to tell me, as a Saints fan who's been loyal for 20 years, what are we going to see new and different this year to give us hope for the future?
Those are good openers.
Good questions. In response to your first question, offense does sell tickets, but defense wins championships, because as long as you play good defense, you've always got an opportunity to stay in the ball game and be competitive. And it's very seldom do you see a team go to the playoffs or win the Super Bowl without a good defensive team. And you see a lot of teams that have spectacular offensive players and good offensive teams that for some reason, if their defense is suspect, they never make it to the final game.
How about hope for 86?
Hope for 86. Well, I hope the thing you see differently this year is winning more games. You know, that's the number one thing we're trying to accomplish, and the bottom line is just win. And how we go about it is we're going to do it the way I think we need to do it, and our staff thinks we need to do it within the realm of the type of team we have, try to take advantage of what we do best and get the job done and win football games.
We'll get another one. Let's take a look at the next question.
Coach Mora, I'd like to know, what are your plans to strengthen the defensive secondary?
Good question. You know, the Saints secondary has been pretty darn good down through the years. I know last year, statistically, they didn't have a great year, but prior to that, they were very good, and statistically, we're at the top of the rankings in the National Football League. This year, we hope to stay healthy. That's the number one thing we can do. I think we've got some good athletes back there that can play and win for us, but we've got to keep them healthy and playing every game. Willie Tullis, who came in last year during the middle of the season, will be back and is playing well. Dave Waymer's playing well, has had an excellent camp. Keeping Russell Gary healthy this year will add the strength to our secondary. And then lastly, we've added 2 new players to the defensive secondary. Antonio Gibson, who played for me at the Philadelphia Baltimore Stars, and Van Jakes, who was also in the USFL and before that played for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they will give us real good depth.
All right, Coach, next week we'll get some letters in and see how they ask questions for you. And guys, it's going to be a big ball game. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you next week right here on the Jim Mora Show.
The Jim Mora Show has been brought to you by Miller Beer, made the American way, by Pepsi, the choice of the new generation, by your New Orleans area Toyota dealers, and by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal.
Later, don't miss Phase 4 and Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles. Tonight's Terror Theater beginning at 10:30 on WGNO-26, Television New Orleans Time.